Hello and welcome everyone to the OVRC. Welcome to the Back to the GT Series into round 2, this time at Silverstone. I joined you, not joined by Owen this time. He is unfortunately unwell, so it's just going to be me today. As you join me just towards the end of practice, with 1 minute to go. It's looking like it's going to be another close fight at the top end between Mike Stoffman and Thomas Janssen. The Audi and the BMW once again going to war. It's quite a close fight down the mid-pack as well, as always. It's a slightly smaller grid than the looks of things, but we've got 21 cars currently in the session, so it'll be interesting to see how everyone will fare out as we're going to soon head into qualifying in a couple of seconds now. Especially bringing a close off his practice lap again. Practice is a bit more representative of what the actual end result will be. Some people will be running race simulation, some people will be running quality fuel. We don't really know, so it's all a bit of guessing. But we should, in qualifying, we'll have an accurate reputation of how well people are in the standings in terms of pure lap pace. But obviously, it's still a 1 hour race, so anything could happen. It always tends to happen. In the last race, we had a quite dramatic end to the race with Thomas Janssen getting a puncture on the second to last lap, costing him basically P2 or P1, and giving Stoffman a massive advantage in the championship already, going out of round 1. But could he redeem himself around here, round 2? We will soon find out. As the checker flag has been waved, and the cars will be, any car which is still on track will be ending the lap soon. Anyone else who's already crossed the line will have the lap ended for them. Stu Higgins in the BMW. The M6, there's a few M6s out this time. The M6 seems to be quite strong around here, with 2 and 3 be taken up by the BMW M6. A car which before wasn't used much is being used quite a bit more now. After the updates to the handling and the physics, made the car quite competitive as well, it seems, depending on the used driver and if they can get a setup that works for it. But the Audi, one Audi out this time, but that one Audi is at the top of the field, so you just see how they fare. The Audi quite aero heavy, got quite a weird balance going on with its aerodynamics, which help it a lot in some cases. As session will come to the close very soon. I think I've got some people join the session in the last minute. Sort of wait for them to join. As you can see here, the ball within the 2019 spec 919 GT3, a very popular car by a lot of people. Not many of them in the OVRC this season, surprisingly, despite how popular a car it is. But it's a very good car, and it's very competitive as well, and very easy to drive, which I think is why it's quite popular. Same thing with the Merc. Yeah, front-engined car, quite a bit different from the rear-engined Porsche. As you see James into the pits. He's in the old Porsche, which is a surprising pick. The old 2016 model. Quite a bit slower, quite a bit less advanced in aerodynamics and suspension. But still very capable, and being capable for a long time in the sim and in real life as well, with a very successful 2018 season for it. Most cars will be heading on the way back. Practice over. having a slight issue with someone loading into the server. Just by what the admin console is saying. Hopefully this will be resolved shortly. Yeah, one of the drivers doesn't seem to have any ping. So that can either mean two things. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. So there we go, we switched over. Back into qualifying now. As Thomas Anson's very quick to get out of the... Very quickly to get out of the pits then. It's looking like he's going to try and do his best to get a quick lap in early on. There's some heat into those tyres as well. Tyres do matter a lot more now since the readjustment to the GT3 tyres and how they respond. They will get a lot more tyre temperature sensitive than before. That means that the driver can make a bigger input in the performance of their car by driving in particular styles and driving softly. But also means you've got to get a bit of temperature into them or try and keep it out, especially on your outlap. And as you can see, Thomas Jansen weaving down the track to get some, keep some temperature in those tyres, and I believe that's one of the Mercs behind him doing the same thing. Qualifying is 15 minutes long, and everyone's out on track at the same time during this qualifying session. Thomas Jansen going to start his first timed lap now. He's done the pit straight. Starts his timed lap. So, I'm going to head on board with him while he's doing this. Let's see how the lap goes. To the village now, as he's gone through this village. And then into what's called Loop. I refer to this all as village as a whole complex, but this is called the Loop, the newest part of the circuit. Good chance to overtake here, as you then sort of the straight out down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. This again, and this is where the new track ends and the old track starts. As you go through the very famous Brooklands corner. As this ends the sector on a 35.511 into that sector. Left field now. This is very hard on the tyres and makes it the car's got to keep good air balance, otherwise you risk spinning it on exit. Through Woodcut and then down the old pit straight. This one is only really used in European GT Series for cops. Fast corner, very hard to get the car around it without getting wide on exit, but you get it right, you gain a lot of time. Now into Maggots. First part, and then you got into Beckett's afterwards, so there is a separation between those two corners, but very famous complex, very challenging due to the swinging nature of it. And next at Beckett, so you then head down out of Chapel onto the Hangar Straight, and this is the other straight part, and then heads into heavy brake into Stowe. Once again, the car loads up a lot here. It's quite important to get a good exit. Then you're going quick down straight towards the chain. Heavy on the brakes. Get around. Then you roll out through club corners. The car rolls out under power. Keep it tucked in. And then you're on the start finish. So, and that is a lap of Silverstone. We're Thomas Jansen in the first lap of a 1:59.9. So already we're below the 2-minute mark with the top runners. And that is a very competitive time there set by Thomas Janssen. But can Mike Stoffel go faster than that as the car spun off just up the road? Hope it doesn't impeach Mike Stoffel as he's got a faster Sector 1. He's got to try and continue that into Sector 2. As he goes through Chapel now. And he does lose a bit of time in Sector 2. So he's got a few more corners to go. For being the shortest of the sectors here. Heavy braking. Only a few more corners to go. Can he go faster than Thomas Janssen? No one else has got close yet, but this might be the first close-ish time as he'll cross the line and he'll put his Audi 0.4 of a second off. So quite a bit more time to find. Definitely doable. I believe that time right now is slower than his actual practice time, as the one of the BMWs gets in the way there. Just on the exit there of Farm of Abbey. Thomas Jansen's teammate right now in the other BMW, well, one of the other BMWs. There's a lot of BMWs out right now. He's got a personal improvement in Sector 1. Trying to improve his time and move himself up the order. Currently P3, but we still only have half the grid of set times right now, so that could easily change. We've still got 9 minutes to go in qualifying. So he does improve again in Sector 2, but Sector 2 seems to be where Janssen's making most of his time up out of all the cars, and that is probably the most high-speed part of the track. Probably most difficult on the cars due to this. Not really many slow corners, it's all fast stuff, all technical fast corners. So that's probably where Thomas is making most of his time. He has to cross the line through the final corner through Club and on to start finish straight, and he will set a 2-minute 1.132. That moves him up a bit further. As Villar, one of the Porsches out on today, so he's sitting in P13. He's staying a lap, but doesn't seem to improve his time as he's dropped down to P13 since I started spectating him. Another one of the cars out is the Callaway Corvette C7, based on the now outgoing C7 model of Corvette, being replaced by the C8. Hopefully get to see a C8 soon in a sim, either a GT3 or a GTE version, or GTLM. Nice to see that car added, but the C7 is still a very competitive car in the sim, and I believe it's very competitive in the real world when GT Masters are winning the 2018 or 2017 season. Excuse me. Yeah, it was 2017 season they won. Alexander here in the one of the other Porsches. Porsche's not having the best day right now. The fastest currently in P5 behind the BMWs, the Audi and the Mercedes, and Porsche's again quite strong all over the sim and other series as well. They are all over the place, but obviously not the car of choice by the front runners here. As he crosses the line, he improves his time to 2 minutes 6.3, which is faster, but be enough. Can he get more further up the field? Mike Stoffel improves to Sector 1 again, but there's the point Sector 2 where technical stuff where he needs to try and gain some time back and claw some of that time back to have a chance on pole. Now down the wide straight as he's not even got a personal improvement in Sector 2, so he's got a lot of work to do in this final sector, but it doesn't look likely like he's going to really get into that under the minute mark, the 2 minute mark, which is what you have to do, it seems like. Quite a tall order. Into the cane now, putting all the steering lock he can in. It's a very tight corner, that. Then he is in the start finish straight. He'll hurt himself. does not improve his time. He's slower that lap. Verstappen. I butchered the name horribly. I'm sorry. Names are only my strong point. He has improved his sector 1 time. With just over 5 minutes to go left in the session. And he does seem to have his lap invalidated, judging by the fact that he's got no sector 2 time. So obviously cut one a bit wide somewhere or cut a corner. Validates your time here, as that's the Seca. Currently the strongest of the Mercedes right now. Improves both sector 1 and sector 2 times. The final few corners goes. So one of the Mercs off just parts to the side there. And he moves up to P3, so currently on the podium spot. See how that stands out as we go forward. We are now probably both in sector 1 and sector 2 times. But further down the field, he's still got room to improvement. Here's P15, so just one position up. As Millet comes down in one of the other Corvettes we have running around. Proves his once again another personal best sectors. Can he keep his momentum going into the final corner? And he does just that, moving up to P9, so into the top 10 he goes. Stoffmiller is improving his sector 1 time, a global best. He seems to be reliably able to do that in the Audi right now. Can he keep it going into the final 2 sectors? And then now into Maggot. Using all that curb he can get away with, it seems, as trying to cut all that time off. You've got to be a bit careful. Sometimes the car can sort of jump a bit and lose a bit of time by taking this close too aggressively. And once again, he doesn't manage to improve his time there and does return straight to the pit. Because he's got no time now to probably get another lap out. So that's his qualifying over. And looks very much like Thomas Jansen might have pole here unless someone can do something about it. James Butler improves his time to 2 minutes 6.034. To Berlin. Heads through the final corner, coming back over, just finishing the 24 hours of Daytona in iRacing for the under the OVRC name. The boys there did very well. It's good to see them represent the series, the teams, and stuff out there. Okay, so he's P9 in this season here. Meanwhile, Thomas Jansen's improved sector 1 time, so I guess he's not quite happy yet with sitting pole position. He wants to improve that time. But they have very much made that car work. Sebastian Bruni being his teammates probably helped quite a lot in that self-development of that M6. Bring it to the point where it is now, and it seems to be the fastest car. He does go a bit wide through Maggot and then Chapel, so he's probably bought that lap. so we're not going to get a faster time. That's Darren King in P5, the highest of the Porsches right now. Porsche is finally in the top 5. He's looking to improve both his sectors, as he's improved Sector 1 and Sector 2. There's a bit wide an exit there, and that is qualifying over, unfortunately. Oh, no, it's just the standings. Never mind. He's still at the finishes lap. Sarge Jansen has taken pole position, looks like, unless Darren can do something about it in the final corner. And he across the line stays P5, he gets an invalid lap there. So yes, that is the final order. Thomas Jansen takes pole for Mike Stoffmel, and Asa de Seca take the top 3, followed by Sebastian Bruni and Darren King round up the top 5. Okay, so we're now heading into the main race. So this is round 2 of the OVRC GT Series, Season 5 at Silverstone. The current track temp is 30 degrees, air temp is 21. It's sunny, as it always is in Silverstone. So here we go, as the cars line up on the start line. This is a standing start. Got a couple of seconds now before the lights go green. If everyone's ready for this, this should be a good race. Hopefully, especially after the last race at Nürburgring proved to be very strong. As the lights go red, and we are go for the first race of the season. Thomas Jansen gets a good start, but so does Mike Stoffmel. Stoffmel's got the inside line going to the first corner, and he does make the jump ahead of Thomas Jansen. So it's got to go round the outside, but this comes to the inside now, side by side through the first couple of corners. Everyone seems to have gone away cleanly. Stoffmel might get over ahead of Sebastian Bruni there, goes to the background, goes beside one of the Mercedes. I think it's Alexander Seca trying to hold his P3 spot. As he goes deep now and then loses some positions at the back there. As the rest of the field now comes through onto the Wellington straight now. But Stoffmel has taken the lead now into the first corners. That's going to help him greatly. Brunion is now behind Sebastian Bruni right now on track. One of the BMWs just goes a bit wide there. I think that's Sebastian. He's struggling with his first lap. Doesn't seem to be getting the tyre temp, or something's not right. He's lost a lot of positions to start here. It's one of the Mercs. The Mercedes in the background goes off. That's Thomas Olsen's one car who's gone off there. He's now back on track again, but once again losing a lot of positions there. Not helping his start, but it's now a race. Plenty of time to get back. So it's not quite the end of the world now. So from Megan and Becky, we go for the first time. Quite a lot of movement around. Everyone's still fairly close together. No real breakaway drives yet. But the top pack is slowly breaking away from the rest of the field. There's one of the Corvettes, I think that was Muller, going off that chapel. As Darren King looks for a possible move around the outside at Stowe, but I don't think it's going to quite be happening. He's going to now look for the inside line. He does look for, he goes deep on the brakes into chicane, and he gets in front. So that's a good move there for Darren King to get into P3 very early on. Goes a bit wide there, but no foul play so far, and he's managed to get ahead now of Alexander Seca in the Mercedes. The pack is actually broken up quite a bit now, especially towards the back end of it. Still, the mid pack is still a few battles going on. I think it's actually just timing bugs. But this mid pack here between P4 to P10 or something is very close to each other now. Still very close. Stoffmel has made a somewhat of a gap up at the head. He's breaking away as Grun's looking for a possible move on Sebastian behind, but pulls out of it. I guess didn't think he could make it clean. Well, it's not worth it. Sebastian definitely not looking comfortable in that car right now, slipping and sliding. Not quite the car up to temperature yet. Maybe he needs a bit more time. As Victor Berlin is kind of going around the outside of Olsen. Olsen's making his way back up the field again after he went off earlier on in the race. So we'll now go through Cops. Now into Maggots and Beckett's. Launch, the exit here is so important. If you get the exit a bit wrong, you risk losing a lot of time. It's Thomas Janssen at the front here. As a fight for P1 is starting to heat up again. Once again, Thomas Janssen looking to get his position back. He was quicker doing qualifying, trying to make that qualifying pace turn into some race pace. As Sekka's lost a position, back just behind her, he's dropped to P4 and P5 now, excuse me. Janssen is trying his best to make a possible move now. Has to stay around. It's quite hard unless you really are close to make a move in some of these corners. They're all high speed and without basically forcing the other car off the track. There's not a lot you can do sometimes. This is only for 5 minutes gone, so should be an exciting race if this keeps going for the whole hour. Meanwhile, at the back, there's some side-by-side action going on. And the BMWs of Cazzola makes way in front of the Porsche. As Millet has dropped down all the way down to P18, so he's had an off moment. As we had the first retirement in the race, and 2 retirements of Baldwin and Jose are both retired already, so there's 2 retirements very early on, so either they had a collision or something's gone on between those two to make them decide to want to go to the pit lane. The lead fight is still going on. Charles Olsen now in the back of Distendo, he's on his comeback drive after a mistake fairly early on in the race. As someone spun. I believe that has to be Sekka who spun there. Big puff of smoke there. Out of Chapel. Elson goes around the outside there. Dendo makes the position now. He's back up to P7. Close stuff going off in the mid pack as well. A few mistakes have cost people positions right now, so everyone's a bit closer than thinking. It's very crucial to try and not make these mistakes, because without mistakes is how you gain time. How you don't gain time, you don't lose it. That's the main point. That's what I meant to say. The more time you have space fencing forward, the better. General rule of racing. So Alexander Second now looking to make a move past Testendo. As he's also trying to make his comeback after a spin in Chap. I don't know why the spin happened yet. Of course, you can't really look at the replays, but he's trying to make a move happen. He's following quite close. He can't quite make it there, but he's dropping back for a while. And he's now going down the inside. That's this is where. Oh, he then gets a bit out of shape there. Snap and snap. But he's still in front. He does keep positions, moves up to P8, but car obviously not quite stable enough. Obviously a bit snappy. Be a bit careful of that later on in the race when the tyres start to get a bit worn. Meanwhile, at the front, Jensen is still round the back of Stoffmill. He's still not letting them get away, but it does seem that Stoffmill has managed to keep the pace under control now. Currently saying 2 minutes ones, which is about what their fastest laps were. So they're not really getting above that. Now, I don't know how much that is holding Jansen back, or is he just trying to save his tyres a bit. Last race he was caught out a lot by pushing quite a lot when he didn't need to, and eventually actually led to a puncture by getting his tyres so low and hitting a curb. So he's got to be a bit careful now. Is it worth pushing as hard to get past him now, or is it worth holding back a bit, saving the tyres up for a bit later on? The M6 should be fairly good on those tyres for what I remember of it, so shouldn't be too hard, but it's up to him at the end of the day. He's got to try and race, and he's probably racing all he can to get past Stoffmill right now. Well, action in the mid-pack as all the cars are slow going to Dundo. He's lost a bit of pace now, and he's got currently Victor Berlin and Cassell in the back of him. So all of them are trying to move around. So there still seems to be some timing issues going on right now. Quite hard to work out, but saying that, trying to make a move now onto James Butler right at the back here. James Butler currently sitting P15, trying to make it again another person on the comeback drive as such after an early spin. Well, something happened very early on which cost him a lot of places. He's trying to make his way back up the grid. He's not getting past easily, not easy he would like to think. He makes the lunge now into it. Oh, Village, and I bet he goes too deep. Now it's Butler to cut back again. So he's thinking trying to get past as quick as possible, but he's not really making the progress he wants to really get back in a position where he thinks he probably should deserve right now. He's got a long way ahead of him. 48 minutes. You know, look, we'll make a move here. No, he doesn't. He holds back a while. Jumping once again back to our leaders again. We're right on board with Thomas Jansen as he is on the hot pursuit of Stoffmill. No one here can be clearly said as the leader yet. Stoffmill defending that to the inside, so they look like they are both going to be racing. No one's going to let one pass to save tyres or anything. They are going to keep racing. There's quite a difference in cars here. I think it said this last stream, but you got the complete opposite ends of the spectrum here. You got a small, nimble, mid-engine car designed with all its areas of the front. You got the large M6 front-engine car. V6 turbo compared to the V10 in the Audi, so if you want different philosophies and how to design a car, then here you go. M6 very clearly what a classic Grand Tourer would be, or the Audi is a sports car. Jansen gets a bit too close there in the Village and loses time out and has to drop back a bit. So you gotta be a bit careful by going too close. Sometimes it does cost you time. Dendo is still being somewhat of a cork in the bottle here as Victor Berlin goes down the inside of the Corvette, pushes him very wide out now. Corvette has to take to the grass. He's not happy about it, starts flashing his lights as Bernthal took a bit opportunistic then. As you saw, the Corvette went a bit wide there and lost time, and the Corvette's now going to lose even more positions now. Possibly as one of the Porsches. The other Porsches tries to go around. Doesn't quite do so, and he drops back. But Dendo's being somewhat of a cork in the bottle here. He's got a little pack of cars behind him, all wanting to get past, but they can't quite get past, and they're not helping each other by squabbling with each other. All trying to work out, but you know, me first, no me first, no me first, and no one is making the move happen. Is the current fight for a position. This is the big close fight, and we got 4 different manufacturers of car here, so it shows how diverse the grid can be sometimes, especially with these newer machinery. Unfortunately, some of the older cars, some of the more popular fan favorites like the Bentley, are not in the series right now, but hopefully they can make a return with balanced performance changes later on if required. If the developers see it's necessary, but so far a fairly diverse field right now. We've got Corvettes, Porsches, Mercedes, BMWs, and an Audi. Thomas also down the inside of Grunin as they keep side by side out onto the Wellington straight. A bit more door bashing there. Luckily no one should get damaged from that, but you've got to be a bit careful. Don't knock too hard, otherwise you might get suspension damage. Big risk now. This damage is probably the most dangerous form of damage, honestly. It can make the car very dangerous to drive, or unstable, or just slow. Behind these two is Anderson Secker, who's also back on his comeback drive. He's managed to make quite the gap, as Dendo is definitely not quite up to pace for these guys, as the gap between them and these guys were behind Dendo for a while now, so they've definitely made a gap as they try to move up the field. Fortunately, it's quite a big gap ahead of them to Sebastian Brunier, who's just up the road. You can just see there on camera where he is. They now head back into the road for another lap. We're on lap 9, as we just have done a quarter of the race already under their belt. Sort of fairly equal cars, very similar in design. They all have the same strengths and weaknesses. Personal preference is towards the Corvette, as Saka goes down the inside into the loop and gets in the front. So very good move there, opportunistic, saw the gap, went for it, made it fairly clean as well. So good move by Saka, as he's now trying to make. He's on his comeback drive. He's still got a bit of way to go back up to P3. He's definitely got the pace now to possibly get back into P5 and maybe even P4 if he can keep this going. He's now got Olsen up ahead, his fellow countryman in the same paint of Mercedes. So quite a bit more to go now. So once again, the two leaders are still very much close together right now. Same order as before. Who can get ahead? That is the question. Sophomore goes for defensive once again, and it's very easy to defend here. So out Jensen tries to go around the outside of Stowe. He looks like he's long side now. Heading into the chicane. He's going to the inside line. but just roll out to the side and he has to drop back a bit. He doesn't make the move now happen. He's got to stay on the back of him though. Possibly make a move now. This corner's quite hard to make an overtake. Nope, drops behind. They're getting very, very close now. He's got to try and make a move happen. Some of these corners you can't overtake and they're too fast, or there's the particular line you have to take. Some of them though, you can, and this next corner is one of the ones you can. As he tries to come on the outside, there's a bit of door bashing there. Bit of contact. Shouldn't lead to too much. So back going again. Hasn't made the move yet, so that's the closest he's got for a while now. He's got to try it all again now. He definitely has the pace. He's got the faster of the two cars in terms of their total best lap now. He has got the pace now. Meanwhile, go back in the midfield. Dendo is still trying to defend off against Victor Berlin and the others there. Then possibly can move now. Goes down the inside. And Brooklands, and does seem to have made the move now. So that's one position unfortunately down for Dendo. He's trying his best to keep all these cars at bay. Doesn't just quite have the pace out at Silverstone to really make moves up. He's doing his best he can to try and keep these guys behind him. Still staying fairly close to Victor Berlin, so Victor Berlin once again back in OVRC racing. After not being able to do the first race of the season, he's back in. He's picked the Porsche, and so far it's in P9 right now. After a bit of a disappointing qualifying session. Dendo is possibly making a move now. He's still looking. He's still hanging there. So maybe you get a bit of pace back. He's got a bit of a target in front of him. Sometimes having a car in front of you to race does help you a bit. As you go, just looking up the order, Checkers now managed to get past Grunion now as well. They're all getting a bit close now. They're all tripping over each other's toes, but no one can really make a move though. Just get out of the way of one going, so you got to get in the way of the other. So it's all a bit close right now. Don't think any of them particularly want to be in the situation. Some all want to be at the front of that queue driving away. Not like this right now where everyone's sort of packed together. As a move in the background as Steve Higgins makes the move onto Villar. But he's possibly going to lose it now as he goes a bit wide now at the loop. He's going to side by side down the one straight. Let's see. There's a bit of contact there. Steve Higgins does go a bit wide though. He doesn't keep the position though. He's stuck behind. Does flash his lights. So obviously he's not quite happy with that. He's going to continue going. It seems doesn't seem to have any damage from the contact. That's always the issue with contacts, is when you get damage. It's going down the upper field a bit. Sebastian Brunner is on the behind of Staffen. Both BMWs, two BMWs right now. They are trying to fight each other, trying to get the slipstream down the hangar straight. Dendo is struggling once again to go back to the sort of fight in the mid-pack. We're still going to go. Berlin slowly trying to make a break now. Trying to get as far away as he can. Get a bit of clean air right now, so he should be able to do that. Castle is still around the back of Dendo. Secker. Now close up to Olsen. Johnson is still on the back of Stoffmore at the front. There's quite a few people now closing up. A few people who've dropped back down the order a bit. Managed to gain some pace back. Has managed to claw their way back towards where they probably think they should be. As Olsen spun again. He just bashes the wall a bit. Is he going to have damage now? That is the question. He's taking a bit too much curb burn. Oh, that does not look healthy. As he will try to keep driving, but he has got some damage there. Looks at things, unless it's just the thing. He's going very slowly indeed. So he just took a bit too much inside curb lane and spat the car out, and he's staying out on track, so he's going back up to speed again. So maybe he feels like there's not enough damage to, or there's no damage at all. It feels like he can continue. He's lost a lot of places once again. Well, actually he only lost one. I lie. He's lost one position, but he's lost a lot of time. Now he's in front of it to Berlin. He's now sort of joined this pack again, but he should be able to break away from them pretty quickly. Really generate his pace early on in the race. And Stephen Higgins got once again past Villar. Cazzola is also somewhat joining the back of his pack, so another car has joined the midfield fray. This is all the way down in P10, so this is all quite far down for order, but it shows that sometimes the midfield is the best place for racing. So you get the most grouped together, similar skilled sort of drivers around this area, so it makes sense to see this. With the cars being so equal right now in terms of balance performance, it does sort of make this sort of racing happening. It seems that Olsen didn't get any damage there, because he's somewhat making a break now from Victor. He gets on away from his spin, and to just stay out enough, just out of the wall enough to not take any damage. Jansen is still behind Stoffmill. Stoffmill's been leading this race since basically turn 1. Johnson's not managed to get close enough really yet, or anytime he has, not in the right place to really make a clean move. But he is holding there. He's staying put, he's standing behind, and hoping to possibly make a move later on, I'm assuming. Now going to has to go around the outs a long way. You see that the Audi's got a bit more straight line speed, which is probably why it's been so hard for Johnson to get round him. He says that he's going round the outside. This is some great stuff going on right here. Doesn't quite get enough. He's now in chicane. He's back behind. He can't get alongside here though. Sophomore managed to close the door just enough that he can't make the move. But it's been some great racing, very close between these two. No real argy-bargy going on. It was nice to see when two drivers give each other respect when racing. Something is a bit hard to do when virtually racing. You're not in risk yourself, but it is doable. So once again, it's sort of under brakes. Doesn't seem really close enough. Jansen gets very close once again. But sometimes he's getting these little lunges in, and his lunge is a bit too close to the back of the car. He has to brake even harder and lose all his momentum. So he's got to be a bit careful about it being this close sometimes. Sometimes the best place to overtake is when you've got lots of space that you can just dive into an open gap. When you're very close and trying to squeeze it past, you often have to brake to not hit the car in front. Seems to be the common theme for him right now, struggling behind the back of Stoffmel. Stoffmel definitely seems to be slow in the corners. I think we sort of explained why the pace difference in sectors has occurred. At least you've got a very healthy gap over P2 right now. P2? P3. So it doesn't look like any of them are going anywhere soon. Once again, through Magnets and Beckett's they go. So I've seen that Audi seems to pull away a bit more in the corners and seems to have a bit more stride and speed outside the slipstream. Thomas does have the corner advantage. He once again tries to go around the outside here. Once again, this seems to be a point where he believes he possibly can make a move, but there's a very tight chicane next, and this chicane is very easy to defend off because without forcing your nose already past the car, you can't really dive without taking the other car out. But he says that he's got the switch back on. He's down the inside. Can he keep this way? He needs to stay alongside to make the move, and no, he doesn't. He has to drop back now. So you have to, if you want to make a move there, you've got to stay alongside, and hopefully they don't get pull up into this corner here, into Abbey. They're so close now, and it does seem Thomas is a lot more confident in his brakes, but he can't really get in them close enough in spots where he can reliably overtake, which seems to be the issue right now for him. He's just stuck behind. Back down the order, Steve Higgins under attack now by the BMW of cars are. So two BMWs are fighting each other. Not something you would see about a year ago, but now it's right here. Victor Berlin has somewhat made a break now, and so order shuffling has gone in this little pack. Berlin's got away, Olsen's got away, Cassell is ahead now of Dendo. So Stevens is very much under attack right now. He's got to try and hold his defense right now. Two very clever cars, but setup can still play effect. Setup can be a huge effect now in these cars because it's a lot more about the downforce produced by the floor now compared to the rear wing. So you can either make your car very low drag, but not very quick in the corners, or you can make the opposite. The M6, from what I understand, prefers a bit more downforce, so you sort of put a bit more diffuser, a bit more rake in it, but you sacrifice some straight line speed as a consequence of it. But we don't know. These guys could have completely different setup ideas about how they want to work, how they want these cars to handle. Steve Higgins possibly also, as Villar has made a little mistake there on the exit of Chapel, and it's going to lose the position to Higgins as they're possibly. Higgins has got to be a bit careful now because he's got a car behind him overtake and trying to overtake another car in the process. There's a big gap there. The BMW tries to squeeze into it. Possibly three wide in the chicane. No, they stay alongside as Higgins just stays just enough ahead and forces Villar out. And Villar's now under attack now by the BMW behind him. Oh, it's so close as they get out of club. They're going to go three wide, possibly. No, not quite close enough there, but all staying so close to each other. No one being able to really make any sort of move right now. All looking for possible spots now as well. Higgins gets a bit wide on exit there. Now the Porsche is going to look down the inside now as well. He's been trying to overtake this Porsche for a while now. Will Villar get ahead? Villar does get ahead. Flew everything straight. Gets a bit of exit there. He does manage to get ahead now. But it's not the end of Higgins' worries because he's got Zara behind him. Zara seems to be very slippery now, and he has seemed to have lost a lot of time there. So maybe got a bit too loose there, and he seems to be throwing the car around to make it quite quick. So maybe he has gone for a very low downforce setup in hopes that you can try and make some time back. Means, but he's wiggling a bit. So I don't know. Maybe got some suspension damage going on. See, he's back up to pace now. Has lost some time to Higgins. Back to the leaders. Thomas Jansen's still very close. He can't quite get there. He can't quite get close enough to make a move without either hitting them or getting forced a long way around, and that's the issue here. He's got to, at some point, make a move into a spot where he can reliably overtake or force Stoffel to go the long way around, and that's going to be quite hard. Stoffel's a very good driver. He knows all the spots. He will know where to defend and where he doesn't need to. He'll place his car accordingly. He's got the control here. He's the leading car. And they've got enough pace in between them that he can dictate the battle and how it's going to happen. Whereas sometimes when you've got a car in front which is slower, they can't really dictate it because, well, they've got to defend harder to keep a position. Stoffel's got enough pace in him where you can defend a tiny bit, but then other times you can just take the normal line and get away with it. He does seem to have he seems to have a higher top speed. Going down these long straights. Sounds like Secca's closed up in the back of Sebastian Brunier just further down the field. So he's still on his comeback drive. Getting very near to where he started. Jansen once again forced the long way around at the chicane. He's going to possibly try to switch back once again. A bit too far away this time. Oh, he's going to get possibly side by side on the exit, but the acceleration once again helping Stoffel get away from that. Still so close. Johnson's going to have a very good slipstream now. Pull out, but he's got to make a serious lunge if he wants to attempt there, and that's the issue. He's trying to make a move without risking the other car because, while big lunges look cool on camera, they are a bit risky. Could very much end both their races in one corner. So you've got to be a bit careful about doing that sort of move. As a consequence, he has lost a bit of time now. Someone's getting behind Stoffel. Stoffel's taking a defensive line, and you can't really do that unless you want to go on the grass, which is a viable manoeuvre, maybe. Jansen's got in front, but once again, going on outside, and then he's got the inside line chicane. Stoffel once again pulls ahead just enough He can't just secure the move yet. He can't cut across to defend. He hasn't got quite enough ahead yet to do that, and that he's just getting the exit speed out of corners to just keep the head long enough that you can close the door is what seems to be the issue right now. So 20 minutes to go in this race, so time has gone down quickly, it feels like from here. Lots of racing going on, lots of action. It's been a good race so far. Especially for these leaders here who are not let up yet. Johnson going around the outside again. You can see how much more downforce he has. You can make it hang around here. He's staying alongside, right on the outside of a corner. But it's just this corner here, where he's just not long enough up the inside to really make the move. That's the issue. You got to be in the inside. If he gets the inside line at any point, he should be able to keep ahead. But he just can't do that. He's got to really force a move at some point. Alongside now into Village, and once again, step behind. Oh, he's very close. He's going down the inside now into the loop. I was about to say he must be getting quite frustrated now at this point, just getting stuck behind the car, but he's still got chances. He's still got 18 minutes to go, so plenty of time. Still making moves. Remember how close they are. It's not like they've broken apart or got split up much. But you've got to be careful about tyre life, because again, remember Thomas Johnson had a puncture at 40% tyre wear. So he's got to be a bit careful now about keeping his tyres alive and keeping to the end and not getting a puncture again. He's going to try and make it. He goes on the outside there. He's just going to hold back a bit. He's going to. And the issue about doing all this work is you're going to be pounding the tyres. The tyres are going to be getting a lot more wear by having to force them around the outside, all these corners. So his tyre life must not be doing any favours right now. The more fighting they do, the closer Darren King will get behind them. And while he's out of striking range right now, there's a possibility that he could get close enough to make a serious threat to these two. He's now once again down the inside, but losing time. It does seem that he's struggling for acceleration right now. Because remember, the M6 is turbo powered. It's the V6 twin turbo, I believe. And once the turbos are spooled up, it's quick, but you can't just beat a naturally aspirated car at accelerating when he can develop more power at the low end and when he's accelerating in these corners. And that's where the Audi seems to be getting its advantage. being able to pull out these corners quicker. No matter how much downforce you have, you can't make up for the fact that you can't pull away from a corner quicker. He goes back to the outside once more. Guys, keep going, keep going. Can't make it happen. Well, the rest of the pack has somewhat split up a bit now, so doesn't seem to be much else going on. Saying that though, possibility of Steve Higgins is closing at the back of Villar once more, so these two will be fighting once again. So those two have cars which haven't managed to get away from each other with a quarter of the race left to go. Time is ticking down. Holding back right now. Saka's not quite close to that to Sebastian Brunier yet. He has managed to get away of Thomas Olsen, who did remember have a spin. Lost more positions once again, but he's now back into P7 again. So I think Victor Berlin has spun and he's missing a front bumper. He must have had an off moment somewhere, and he's just popped right outside the pits. Oh no, he's got nowhere to go. Did he have some contact there? He's missing his front wing. He's got suspension damage. He's got to limp all the way around the track now with quite a lot of damage on. What must have happened there? You can see some time lapse. He's hit the barrier on the outside of the club on the exit, so maybe he went a bit off there, spun. Maybe it was assisted. We won't know until the end of the race. If it was assisted, it probably will be reported to a steward to look at, but he got all the way up to P10, I believe. He was doing really well, P8 or something like that. He was managing to get a decent result, and then fortunately his race is probably, he's got a bit of damage recovery to do. There's 12 minutes as well. It's not really a lot of time to make those positions back he's lost. Look at the damage of the suspensions, just not straight at all. Not straight. He's going to be trying to limp back to the pits now. He's got all the lap to do as well. He's going to have some cars coming through very shortly past him. If he's not careful, he's going to have, as you see, the leaders are coming past now, so he's got to be a bit out of the way. As they go side by side, it's not the time to have this happening. So he gets off the track, and probably the best thing he could have done then. He's got to keep on track as well, but probably did ruin the leads battle a tiny bit. As they're both going side by side to avoid him, didn't quite know where he was going. The leaders are still close as ever, and as we head into the last couple of minutes of the race. And what a race this has been for the leaders, as none of them have really let off at all this entire race. All staying together. But as a few of the cars are starting to get lapped now. So you see James Butler's up the road now in his Porsche. He's currently sitting P15. He's got to just make sure he's get out of the way of these two. He's still very close. They're still racing. While he can't be just forced to disappear off track, he does have to respect the fact they are there. And he gets out of the way in a good spot. And does allow them to continue going. Fitzburn has made his way back into the pit lane, I believe, so he's on the jacks now. He's going to get a full service probably, but that's going to force him probably into last position in the running cars, unfortunately for him. You'll still get points for finishing. OVRC does encourage people to finish by giving full points out if they finish, as long as they cross the line. If you don't cross the line, then you don't get anything. That's the rule. So as long as he does keep going, as he is now P18. I saw there's 2 retirements right at the start though. Haven't had many actual retirements yet, which has been a good thing as we're in the last 10 minutes now. Just 10 minutes for anyone else to make 5 positions up if they can. And the 5 finish straight to start lap 26. So we are closing back on the back of Dendo. Looks for quite a late move and makes just relates to the brakes. There's a bit of contact. Dendo does spin then. Oh, that's not a good thing for Dendo. He's now stuck on the middle of the track. He's got to try and get out of the way as quick as possible. He's lucky that no one was really close then. That's an unfortunate touch then, and I know who's followed it yet without really looking at any sort of replay. But Villar was working quite aggressive then to make the move happen. I don't think that Dendo was really expecting a move like that. As Jansen is off the track again. Has he got another puncture once again? He's slow getting back on. He's got to have a puncture once again. This is 2 races in a row now. He's had a puncture. He's staying off the track as much for. Oh, this is. He's been quick all race, but he just seems to have another puncture. He's got a bunch of smoke coming out back on track, so that has to be a puncture. Once again, 2 races in a row. He gets a puncture. He is not going at full speed at all, and he's going to limp back to the pit lane now. And he's got to have some rethinking to do before the next race. Because obviously whatever he's doing with his car setup is not helping the tyres at all. And once again he gets a... As I said before, he got a race at the Nürburgring on the second to last lap and cost him P2. He's once again not got another puncture, which has cost him P2. And see, this time he managed to crawl back on the pit lane. He's only got beach in the gravel trap. might be able to retain P6 just by the time gaps, but as we had a report from Victor Berlin saying he's also got a puncture as well, so that's 2 punctures in this race as Thomas Jensen now drops down the order a bit as cars go around. And that somewhat saves Stoffel. Stoffel has nothing to push now. He's got to be a bit careful now. He doesn't want punctures as well. Once again, it looks like, from the looks of things, he's pulling away. Darren King, on the other hand, is probably liking that because he's managed to secure himself P2. First race for us, I believe. He's going to score a podium position, so great driver by him so far. Nothing much happened for him. He's just driving around, but first podium, I believe, and possibly first podium for a Porsche this season as well. As Alexander Seca's got... Oh, Sebastian Buem's had a shunt in the front end. It's all coming off here, has he? He's pitting as well. He must have had something happen to him. Has he either got puncture as well? Has both the BMWs got punctures? This is so far has been a disaster for these two. Thomas Jansen's back on track again. He's pulled up behind Destendo, but he's going at 4 minutes to make any positions up he can. Sebastian's on the jacks, all 4 jacks. He's not just getting his suspension repaired. He's on all the jacks. So that's going to promote a bunch of guys up a few positions now, of all having late punctures now. As Berlin is still in the pits, I don't know if he's going to pull it out again. Saying that, he's back out on track with full repairs. But yeah, as he said, he's got punctures. He must have got in the line of corner and then that spun him out and caused all the other damage. If it was just a puncture, he probably would have got off a bit better. But obviously, he was just unlucky, and this seems to be the case for a lot of people. Maybe people may feel free to think how they're going to use their tyres or not, how they're going to set them up, how they're going to try and just decrease the wear or the usage of the tyre, because if that's going to be an issue, people will have to start worrying about their tyre life. So with this all in mind, Stoffel is currently still leading. He's led every single lap of this race so far. And needs to be done a flawless job of handling the pressure from basically anyone. Well, basically Thomas Jansen has been pressuring the whole race. He has managed to keep him behind him. And he's going to possibly walk off with another victory under his belt. So Higgins still in the back of Villar now, so the battle's still going, and seems to be only running M6s now, as 2 of them have been pulling the pits. The time he's got 1 minute 48 to go. I think it's played possibly 2 more laps, I believe. I don't quite know where Stoffel is on track. As Dendo's come off the track as well now, so he's lost the track positions as well. He's dropped down to P12 now. So there's an off moment there, lost a bit of time. So we hit 1 minute now, so not long to go. As this will be the final lap. Stoffel has just started his final lap. All the drama seems to be coming out late stages now, as Higgins is still on the chase right now. To try and make the positions up. Onto Villar, but can he get close enough to really make a difference this late stage in the race? It's looking unlikely. He's got one more lap to do this in. The clock will soon hit 0. What a dramatic end to this race. Another race filled with mechanical issues for a lot of the higher up runners. And the midfield this time as well. As the clock has hit 0 now, so one more lap to go. I'll make sure people have the fuel set correctly, because this may throw some people's fuel calculations off, but we are on the final lap now. As Stoffel goes through Maggie Beckett's one final time this race. Possibly looking like to be a 2-time OVRC winner at this point in the GT Series. He did win some TCR races, but he's looking strong for another podium. As Sebastian Brunier and Thomas Janssen have switched places. Don't know if that's team orders or just general, oh, I made a mistake and lost on the track, but Stoffel goes finally through club for one more time, and we'll take the checker flag for round 2 of the OVRC at Silverstone. Mike Stoffel is your winner. As you across the line, coming in P2B will be Christoph Verstappen. Highest result for him so far, as he will take his BMW M6 into P2 this race, as King has disappeared. And what's happened to him? He takes P2. Gavin King has gone slowly. Has he got a puncture as well? Not another puncture. As of the second, Masvik come back to P3 where he started. So what a drive from him to make all the way back there. Darren King is limping over the line right now in his Porsche. He's got to have another puncture again. So he limps home P4 eventually. Thomas Olsen comes across the line now. He's got Cassell behind him. He crosses over to P5 and P6 for him. Next across the line will be Villar. He's been holding on Stephen Higgins for a while now. He'll cross the line home in P7. Steve Higgins in P8. Cassell in P9. And Thomas Janssen, your pole position holder, comes home in P10. Followed by his teammate Sebastian Brunier and his heavily damaged M86. Dendo will be crossing the line now after he has an incident. He will cross the line coming home in P12. A few more runners in Malat. Well, after what somewhat of a disappointing race for him, I bet he will come across the line in P13. And that will be the race over. Stoffel is your race winner. Fastest lap goes to Thomas Janssen. The top 5 will be Stoffel, Verstappen, Secker, King and Olsen. A lot of right race punctures. I think people are going to start thinking about their tyre life or something going on. Because obviously tyres can last the race without a puncture, but obviously you've got to optimise them better for that situation. But there you go, that is round 2 of the OVRC GT Series Season 5. Another thrilling race in the season. This season it's being started hot, great. It seems to be keeping the momentum up with these sort of results. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone who was out there did enjoy the broadcast. I enjoyed watching the race. It was a good race in my opinion, so hope everyone else out there enjoyed it. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the next race, which will be at, if I remember, it will be at Monza. So a bit less pressure on the tyres this time, so maybe not so many punctures, but we'll see. Turn 1 can throw all sorts of surprises. And yeah, if you liked it, like it, subscribe if you want to see, don't want to miss the next race. If you want us to join the league, the links are in the description. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.